I'm on the phone with Daquan Oliver, student, entrepreneur, social innovator at Babson College. Daquan, good afternoon, and thanks for agreeing to the interview.
No problem, Bill. Thank you for having me.
You betcha. Daquan, you in your own entrepreneurial initiative called Recesspreneurs. What's that all about?
So, Recesspreneurs is essentially what we do at Recesspreneurs is we empower the at-risk youth with the skills that these children will need to succeed in life. And we do all of this through entrepreneurship. You know, these kids, they're constantly told throughout their lives, no, from an early age. They're told what they cannot do and what they will not become. And, you know, essentially all throughout their growth, these students are placed with limits above their heads. And that's exactly what Recesspreneurs attacks. We acknowledge that this is one of the most crucial aspects of the poverty cycle, and to counteract this aspect, we show these students and allow them to prove to themselves that they have exactly what they need to become successful, and they continue to challenge themselves and foster that growth. You know, these students are learning skills such as leadership, action-oriented approaches to life. They're learning how to build support systems, how to find and maintain mentorship roles. You know, all life skills that, honestly, you know, some individuals may never learn in their lifetime, and these kids are learning it between the ages of 11 and 16, all while building their very own company.
Good for you. And you're doing that right at Babson College or in the local community?
Yeah, we've actually started within Daquan College. I began the program during my freshman year. We're actually in a stage of expansion and growth at this point. We're actually working with both Boston College and Brandeis University to bring Recesspreneurs to their colleges as well.
Good for you. You know that webprofessionals.org just launched the StartSomethingToday.org initiative. Similar interest, similar motivation, but broader in context perhaps, open to all students regardless of career pathways and occupational interest. And these students are from high school as well as college. So with that in mind, and that audience in mind, and the participants of the StartSomethingToday.org challenge initiative, what recommendations would you have for student entrepreneurs?
So in terms of recommendations for student entrepreneurs, my greatest suggestion would be to grow. And what I mean by that is, you know, as an entrepreneur, you know, your key asset is growth. Your key asset is to keep moving, keep progressing, to constantly evaluate both yourself and your company as well as the people around yourself and your company. And when you continue to grow, you know, everything involved only gets better. You know, the best only get better. And that's essentially would be my number one thing that I would recommend to an entrepreneur is to keep growing. You know, no matter where you started in golf, whether you have no experience or some experience, if you keep growing, eventually you can get there.
By growing, do you mean keep learning? You know, many of the participants of this have an idea, but they haven't launched it yet. They don't have a formal business plan. In fact, the challenge really requires them to create a business plan and to pitch their ideas in an elevator-style pitch, right? So
Yep.
With that in mind, what recommendation would you have for them as they launch a particular initiative or business?
So when it comes to the specific business in question, I would say that when it comes to launching that you, number one, want to make sure that you have resources in place. You know, and with that, by resources, I mean, you know, the type of mentorship and roles to your company. You know, odds are that as a student entrepreneur, you might not have ever launched a company before. You want mentors in place to help you guide through that. And you also want to, in an aspect of growth, keep learning about your business, keep understanding who your customer is and how you can better serve them. You know, odds are that your company upon launch will not become the same company and when it comes to actual fruition and growth stage.
Sound advice. Anything else you want to cover?
I would say just as an entrepreneur to always understand the difference between, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't always include this, but, just understand the difference between an entrepreneur and a businessman. A businessman, they are consciously and consistently creating economic value to their lives, those around them, the community, and the organizations and companies that they're a part of. An entrepreneur, on the other hand, contributes a variety of value to their community, to themselves, to the companies of which they're a part of, and that's what makes them an entrepreneur. And it's not founding a business as society or other definitions may commonly point to. It's really the way that entrepreneur thinks, the way they live, that makes them an entrepreneur. So I would just leave that as my last tidbit.
Yeah. What skill sets do you think are required to be an entrepreneur?
I think that to be an entrepreneur, you have to have an open mind. I think it starts there. You have to understand that failure really doesn't exist, that there is no such thing as impossible, and that, in fact, if you really want, necessary, and the regard that it only helps you get closer to your success. Those are a few things, constantly growing, and to do that, you need an open mind. And, when I say constantly growing, it's not only constantly learning, about things, but it's also focusing on yourself. Odds are that whoever you are, whether you're a full-grown adult or a college student, who you are isn't the person that can run this great, epic company. So to do that, you need to grow yourself as well.
Sound advice. Hey, Daquan, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and best of luck in your own competition.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Bill. We'll keep you up to date with that.